Hemi Joel here at the Hidden Lake Horsepower Farm, and tonight I am messing around with this 1933 Auburn V12 Salon boat tail speedster. This is new here. This came out of a museum where it's had been since 1966. In 1968, they painted it, redid some of the chrome, but other than that, this car's an original survivor. Now, I've been told that this car hasn't been started or run in at least 15, maybe 20 years. So I am going to get it running. Now, initially, I figured out it didn't have any spark, so I had to get that fixed. The V12 has essentially two ignition systems, one for each bank of the engine. It's got two coils, and the distributor cap has one coil wire going to the center, and one is offset, and it's got a special rotor in there that picks up off of both of them and distributes it accordingly. It's got an anti-theft device called an Electra Lock, and it's got this armored cable that goes from the distributor through the firewall and up to the ignition switch. Now I'm inside the car to show you the ignition switch. There's the cable, and there's the wires going to it. So in a normal ignition system without that electrolock, you got power coming from the ignition switch. It goes to one side of the coil. In this case, it goes to both coils. And then out of the other side of the coil, the wire would go into the distributor through the points where it's grounded, completing the circuit, with each time the points close, and then when the points open, they induce the spark into the coil. I'll oversimplify it a little bit. But anyway, it doesn't work that way on this electrolock. The wires that normally would go to the distributor go back to the ignition switch, and then they go through the armored cable and into the distributor, into the points. And what I found was that those two wires, one for each set of points, inside the distributor, one of them was grounded, so that half the ignition system wasn't working, and the other wire was twisted off and broken right inside here. So I got all that fixed, and now I have spark. At this point, the car is really dirty. It hasn't been cleaned up. The engine's dirty. But part of the recommissioning is going to be a really good, thorough cleaning of every surface on the car. But first, I want to get it running and driving, and make sure the brakes are working very good and safe, and that the engine and all the mechanical systems are properly working and very reliable. So on the V12, it's a 45-degree bank angle, so it's very narrow. And I think they did that so that it would fit in place of the straight 8, as far as the width of the hood. But they did extend the length of the hood on the V12 models by 5 inches. Here's the automatic chassis lubrication system. Here we got the generator. The starter is down there, and this StartX box automatically engages the starter anytime the key is on and the engine's not running, so you don't have to press a separate start button. And they say that the magic thing about that is that if you stall the engine, it automatically starts it. Like, say, if you're trying to let out the clutch on a hill and trying not to roll backwards a little bit, so you you maybe feather the clutch and don't give it enough gas, and then all of a sudden you stall it. Well, the starter takes over and keeps you going. This has got 2 carburetors and 2 intake manifolds. I have the air cleaner off of it now because when I attempt to start it, I'm going to put a little bit of fuel down the carburetors and see if I can get it going. I have the oil drained out of it, and I have the oil filter off of it. And the oil filter goes right here, and it's a very, very fine brass mesh in a cylinder shape that's washable. So that is soaking in a can of gas right now because it was totally plugged up with sludge. And the bottom of this canister was all filled up with sludge. And you're supposed to take this plug out to let the oil drain out of there and into a pan before you take the oil filter off, but that was all sludged up. So back in the old days, in the 30s and 40s, maybe even in the 50s, I'm not sure, they didn't have detergent oil. So all of the stuff that modern detergent oil keeps in suspension and gets caught in the oil filter, it just settled in every kind of place, any pocket or any place that it could, and it builds up all this sludge. So when you have a car in that situation, you don't want to put detergent oil in it because it loosens it all up and it starts flowing through the oil system, and it can plug up little holes and orifices in the oil system and damage the engine. And that's happened a lot. So you don't want to do that. So this is going to be run on non-detergent oil. It's got this really cool cover that goes over the spark plug wires. I have it off on the other side. But yeah, keeps them all organized and clean in there. This is a Salon model, which is the very deluxe high-end model of the Auburn in 1933. It has a lot of differences compared to a custom or a standard. Like a fancier grille, different headlights. The fenders are cut back at a different angle, so they're more swoopy, and they have stainless steel trim around the perimeter of the fenders. The hood has all this stainless steel trim on the edge of each louver, and they have these ribbon-shaped bumpers. They also have a different frame, a different throttle linkage setup. The rear tread is wider, and a bunch of other stuff that I'm still learning and figuring out. So this car is supposedly unrestored with 20,000 miles on it, and I believe it. Just look at how these doors close. A wood-framed door, 91 years old. No sagging, no issues whatsoever. The odometer, $20,000 miles showing. It has ammeter, oil pressure gauge, temperature gauge, speedometer, odometer, tachometer, oil level gauge, and fuel level gauges. It has a 2-speed rear end, 4:45 ratio in low and 3.0 ratio in high. You change it by flipping that lever and stepping on the clutch. It has vacuum boosted power brakes, and you can turn this knob to select minimum or maximum boost for different driving conditions. On the floor is a knob for the exhaust cutout, a lever for freewheeling, which when you have it in freewheeling, and you let off the gas, it coasts. It's an overrunning clutch to save on fuel. Now it's up in the air. We're going to take a look underneath. So, looks like a big long cast aluminum oil pan with cooling fins on it, just like a Duesenberg Model J. And I got the oil plug out of it, and when I stick my finger in there, I can just feel this huge buildup of this gunk that we call sludge. You maybe can't tell what it is, but in the video, but it's definitely like a pasty substance. And so in the next video, I'm going to pull this oil pan and get all the sludge cleaned out as good as I can. Those are the tubes for the oil level gauge. The exhaust system's wrapped in asbestos. Looking underneath, it looks like a 30-year-old car with 20,000 miles on it. I think this exhaust system is original. I'm not certain, but it's clean under here. It's definitely never been restored, and it doesn't look like it's 90 years old. I'm the fourth owner. The second owner had it from 1936 to 1966. The third owner was the museum that had it from 1966 until now. This car's been pampered its whole life. It's temporarily got that Optima battery in there. I'll have to see if I can find something that fits better, or just leave it in there. Parallel leaf springs, solid axle. I noticed that when the front axle is hanging, the tie rod is rubbing on the spring. I'll have to address that. Here's the 2-speed rear end. This vacuum cylinder shifts it. There's a hose off. It goes up to this valve here. I need to put a new hose on that. This hose is hard as a rock and cracked. I probably have to replace that. I'm going to replace the brake hoses. Don't want to take any chances there. Got to have good working brakes. There's a shock absorber on the right side, but the one on the left is missing, but there was a box that came with the car that has that shock absorber in it. I don't know why it's off. Anyway, I'll wrap this video up for now and do another one when I get the pan off. So, thanks for watching.